You have to understand that when you are answering these problems, you aren't going to answer them. You are not going to be able to answer every single question. I'm doing the Sunday streams, the engineering talk streams are for literally for past Melkey. Like I said, I did not do this. And since this whole stream is like what I would have done differently in my LeetCode preparation, I would participate in weekly challenges. The person who interviewed you could not give less than a shit. They forget about it before you do. What's up, Melkey in chat? What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm like announcing this new thing where every Sunday I'm saving it for a segment I'm calling engineering talk. So it's not really project related. It's actually doing like a side step of the current project I was working on. If you guys didn't catch those stream, that's all Gucci. And basically it's just gonna be me talking about the experience I'm gathering as an engineer at a big time tech company. And it's not, it's not just necessarily what I'm experiencing, but also the people I'm talking to, the people who've worked at different areas. So I just want to spread some news, spread some awareness, spread some knowledge, I suppose. Yeah, and just kind of stream out with my cocks out, you know what I'm saying? So appreciate the love, guys, on Twitter. You guys have definitely been like giving me a lot of love on that platform, so always gotta respect that. I'm gonna take a page out of actually how's Twitch these days. Feeling sold in? Yeah, for sure, dude. I definitely feel a lot more sold in. Like, it's not even like comparable. The first couple weeks were so rough, dude. The first couple weeks were so rough. I had a lot of difficulty, overcoming my impersonation disorder. Imposter syndrome. Yeah, thank you. Imposter syndrome. How to successfully prepare for a FAANG LeetCode style interview. All right, cool. I like that. I think that gets the point across pretty powerfully, I would say, right? All right. So, how is the no nicotine journey going so far? So we are 16 days in, fully 16 days of no nicotine. That means no cigarettes, no vape, no nicotine gum, no patches. Just a cold turkey stop. Very tough, man. The 13th was a can you smoke weed though? Yeah, I can smoke weed though. And I've definitely, I don't think weed is that bad. Just because I didn't smoke weed nearly as much as I smoked nicotine. But anyway, so no nicotine. The 13th I remember was really bad. Like my cravings were to the point where I was like I couldn't sit still. So I went outside, I walked a ridiculous amount, and I kept buying like sourdough buns at bakeries. And I didn't know why. My mind just kept racing and racing. So I was buying like vanilla frappuccinos from Starbucks and sourdough buns from bakeries here in Vancouver. All right, so how to successfully prepare for a FAANG interview. What I knew and what I know now. Oh, damn. All right, let's get... So the reason I want to do this is because, like I said earlier, studying for FAANG and really like any style LeetCode company. I use FAANG because it's the most well-known kind of terminology to describe this like group of companies. But if it's any company that's doing LeetCode style interviews, this shit's very daunting. It's very stressful. And if like you're just not like the most clever, like it's not clever, but if you're just not, I don't know, really keen to that kind of style of being tested on an exam, like you're not gonna do too hot, which is a shame. I'm self-taught, right? I've only been programming for like less than 3 years. I never had any courses. I never did any DS and algos at university college. I am self-taught, and by self-taught I mean I bought a Udemy course on how to program in Python. So I was learning like print statements. I was learning what functions were. I was learning what an if statement was, what a for loop was. I never learned data structure and algorithm until I started preparing. I'm in the same boat, self-taught, which is great. A lot of people are self-taught. How would I approach studying LeetCode now versus then? This is a really good thing. The main thing I would do, firstly, is prepare my time. This is going to follow into the question of structuring the schedule, but I would prepare my time. In the sense, not so much that like, let's say like after lunch, you're going to dedicate 4 hours to LeetCode. That's not what I mean. What I mean by that is prepare your time in terms of answering the question and learning when you just are lost and how much time it is for you to give up. Okay, prepare my time in answering and giving up on problems. All right, so when you're answering a question on leak code, especially if you're complete beginner, everything's gonna be new and you're more than likely not gonna be able to answer it. So you have to understand that when you are answering these problems, you aren't going to answer them. You are not going to be able to answer every single question. That's just a fact. Obviously, when you don't know a question and it doesn't come natural to you, spend your time debugging it. Try to find the proper solution. Use different tools that you are aware of, different data structure algorithms, and try to get part of the answer correctly. If you're not able to get it at all, I think it's actually not good. It's not good to spend, you know, an hour plus on a single problem. Okay, now and this is very important because more than likely you're gonna be asked questions in the easy / medium category of leak code. Maybe you'll get some hard ones depending on your position, depending on the company, but I think you will more than likely get somewhere between an easy, medium. You'll more than likely get a medium, but I've seen questions at like, you know, high level companies ask easy, and I've seen other things, you know, it just depends. It depends on what the gods give you that day. But I think spending more than 1 hour, okay, not all of us can solve that stuff fast. I think spending more than an hour on a single problem is actually more detrimental to you. At that point, I don't think you're actually learning anything. I think you will lose more time on a single problem that you can't solve rather than moving on. Okay, at this point you're gonna just lose time because if you don't know it, you don't know it, you know, and you have to accept the fact that you don't know all the answers to all the questions. You're not gonna know how to solve everything. There's a bit of luck in your interview process. Is a person interviewing you a dick? You know, what kind of question you got? There is that element of luck. That's also how much luck is involved. We're gonna answer that separately, right? There's always gonna be luck to it. You can't kill yourself over that. Some people are luckier than others. It's just, it is what it is. Accept it. So when you are preparing, one thing I would do is I wouldn't spend a lot of time on a single question. I would look at it, prepare my stuff, you know, see if I know how to do it, approach it in a brute force way, approach it in a second style way, and if I can get it on a 4th, 5th attempt, then, you know, and if I'm just looking at the code, I'm scratching my head, I don't know what it is, and that's continuous, I'd stop. I'd learn to stop. You have to understand that when you are answering these problems, you aren't going to answer them. You are not going to be able to answer every single question. That's just a fact. Obviously, when you don't know a question and it doesn't come natural to you, spend your time debugging it. Try to find the proper solution. Use different tools that you are aware of, different data structure algorithms, and try to get part of the answer correctly. If you're not able to get it at all, I think it's actually not good. It's not good to spend, you know, an hour plus on a single problem. Okay, now and this is very important because more than likely you're gonna be asked questions in the easy / medium category of leak code. Maybe you'll get some hard ones depending on your position, depending on the company, but I think you will more than likely get somewhere between an easy, medium. You'll more than likely get a medium, but I've seen questions at like, you know, high level companies ask easy, and I've seen other things, you know, it just depends. It depends on what the gods give you that day. But I think spending more than 1 hour, okay, not all of us can solve that stuff fast. I think spending more than an hour on a single problem is actually more detrimental to you. At that point, I don't think you're actually learning anything. I think you will lose more time on a single problem that you can't solve rather than moving on. Okay, at this point you're gonna just lose time because if you don't know it, you don't know it, you know, and you have to accept the fact that you don't know all the answers to all the questions. You're not gonna know how to solve everything. There's a bit of luck in your interview process. Is a person interviewing you a dick? You know, what kind of question you got? There is that element of luck. That's also how much luck is involved? We're gonna answer that separately, right? There's always gonna be luck to it. You can't kill yourself over that. Some people are luckier than others. It's just, it is what it is. Accept it. So when you are preparing, one thing I would do is I wouldn't spend a lot of time on a single question. I would look at it, prepare my stuff, you know, see if I know how to do it, approach it in a brute force way, approach it in a second style way, and if I can get it on a fourth, fifth attempt, then, you know, and if I'm just looking at the code, I'm scratching my head, I don't know what it is, and that's continuous, I'd stop. I'd learn to stop. Learn to stop. But thanks a lot what you were doing for us. I'm not doing it for us. Yo, come on, man. Like I said, I'm doing the Sunday streams, the engineering talk streams are for literally for past Melkey. As selfishly as that is, you know, it's for past me. I wish I was able to get like a raw insight on people who did it without looking at a YouTube video, because when you watch a YouTube video on like how to prepare for leak code, you can't ask questions. And that's what Twitch does. Twitch allows this personal interaction that you can stop me in my train of thought and be like, but what did you mean by this? But okay, well, you said this, but I experienced it this way. Can you explain that? You know, that's why Twitch is so powerful and passing on this knowledge. So yeah, it's just kind of for past Melkey. And one thing I regret not doing is I did not master brute force enough. So this is such a backwards sentence, because on every prep you will ever get, they will always say, don't do it brute force. You won't get the job if you do brute force. All right, let me tell you something. You know what's worse than not doing it in brute force? You know what's worse than that? Not being to answer the question at all, and looking at an editor, looking at a question, and you're like, I have no idea what to do, because you wired your brain to use all these different approaches, and if you don't recognize a problem that your memory clicks to use that approach, you're screwed. DFS, BFS, you know, there's you can recognize a question that has the characteristics of using a DFS or BFS, right? If you're given a question and your brain doesn't make that connection due to being nervous, due to not sleeping the night before, due to your dog vomiting while you're interviewing, you're gonna waste the interviewer's time. You're gonna make yourself feel like shit because you just bombed an interview that doesn't really reflect your skills. But there's always a way to brute force it. Exactly. At jobs or interview, people will always say, if you can't solve it, then we don't want even move on. Brute force at least gets you to the convo portion. Brute force is what you should do. Okay. Why brute force is good is because, first of all, the majority of the time when you're getting an interview with a person, obviously, like, they're a person, they're a human being. What's up, Mr. Extremely? Life's great. Give me that pow. They are not as concerned with you optimizing the solution as much as you think you are. So when you're on leak code, I would not even pay attention to where your solution ranks. Okay. So yeah, I would master brute force. Master the brute force approach. That's one thing I did not do. I bombed so many interviews. I bombed my Google interview because I did not master how to do a brute force approach. I was looking at, okay, I recognize it must be a BFS problem. Let me log in. Let me do this and this and this, you know? It's like, if I just brute force my way into it, the interviewer would have been like, all right, cool, you solved it. Can you optimize it now, right? It's always a two-step process, and you actually want to take that approach. A lot of people start off with the optimized approach and they kill the interview. Great, that's actually good to look like, you know, I'm not gonna say shit about that, but I think it looks even better if you start off with a brute force. You know, you explain your thinking to your interviewer, and then you say, and then when they ask you, which they always do, how can you optimize it, and you know what to do, you can explicitly now improve on your previous solution. So that's twofold benefits. One, you solve the problem. Okay. Second, when they asked you, hey, can you think of a way to optimize it, and you know how to do it, you can use that opportunity to show them how good you are at communication. Because one thing, let's admit this, everyone look in the mirror, say to yourself, most programmers and engineers are pretty shit when it comes to communication. All right. Some are better than others, but holistically, I think we're all pretty doo-doo at that category. Okay. So in an interview, if you can solve something optimally, See what your times are, see what your constraints are, and brute force it first. Always brute force it first, even if you don't have to. Brute force, show the interview they can solve it, right? And when they give you the opportunity to improve on your answer, that's when you shine. That's when you actually twofold. That's when you actually like do a Mario double jump. You do one jump, you double it. Okay. So the second point, I wouldn't pay attention to where your solution ranks, and that's because when you do leak code, there's a metric there. When you send in your solution, it tells you how fast it was, how much memory allocation it does. Those are all cool. Those are all nifty. Those all can point you to the right direction. But you know, don't kill yourself over it. Don't kill yourself over it. Okay, another point. Don't overlead code. Don't overlead code. And I'm gonna add another point because it's fresh in my mind. Don't overlead code, and don't look at the lead code solutions right away, because you're gonna look at them. I looked at them. It's good to look at them. It'd be silly if you didn't. Okay. Don't overlead code. It's that simple. Do not overlead code. One thing I did is I spent 12 hours a day lead coding for 2 months. 12 hours a day lead coding. Could you imagine that? My life was hell. I stopped streaming. I stopped hanging out with friends. I was in my parents' basement doing lead code problems day in and day out. And you know what? Even with 2 months of 12-hour days in the bag, I failed more technical interviews than I got. You know why? Because it doesn't matter how many hours you're putting in. What matters more is the quality of hours you're putting in. Okay? The quality of the hours you're putting in is more important than the quantity of hours you're putting in. And what I mean by that is not only you're efficient with your time and you dedicate a 3-hour block. What I mean by being efficient with your solutions and quality is sleeping, eating, going outside, taking your mind off of that problem, taking breaks. Okay? That is quality hours in lead code. Do not be fooled by people who tell you to put in the hours in the lead code. Yes, you gotta put in hours. You gotta put in hours. I will not say never put in hours. It's gonna take you hours and you're gonna hate your life. Okay, let's put that out there. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It fucking sucks. I'm gonna say it one more time. Doing lead code is gonna require you to dedicate a lot of hours. You're probably gonna hate your life for a little bit, and it fucking sucks. Alright? But you can make it better than what other people tell you and how to approach it, which is take care of yourself while you lead code. Alright? Like, I'm gonna write that down. It's quality of hours versus quantity of hours. Super important. Don't overlead code. Right? It's the quality of hours versus the quantity of hours. I put a lot. I sacrificed so much time. Man, it was. And I failed so many interviews. I still failed so many interviews. Failed Google, failed startups, failed other ones. Just failed so many. Okay? Lawyers complain about law school. It's tough. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying don't do it. Okay? I'm not saying don't do it. I think lead code is what got me the opportunity that I got. But don't, like, you know, you can do it in a way that you're not straining your health as much as I went through it. One thing I did not do during my lead code prep, and one thing I'd definitely switch up, is I would take more breaks. What I would do is, like, Monday to Friday, what I did was Monday to Monday, like every single day. I was just straight up lead coding. And then I should have taken more breaks. I should have, you know, not did it on Friday nights. I should have not did it on Saturdays. Cool. Let's see. So how do I approach studying lead code now versus then? So yeah, I'll just take more breaks. I'll definitely quantify like quality of hours versus quantity of hours. Take breaks. Relax. Don't stress too much. Okay. So I think that's it I want to say for that. How to approach lead code now versus then. Like that holistic approach. Send this schedule on Discord later, please. Yep, for sure. Lead code 3 or 4 days a week, 5 hours a day session max. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. 5-hour sessions max. Honestly, a lot of people, they do more than that, and like they don't really benefit. And, like, a great example of it was Midnight Simon. Shout out Midnight Simon. He got a job at Google, and that dude, you know, he killed his interviews. He got hired by FAANG, you know, big shout out. But he did it so smart. He didn't spend that, like, he spent a lot of hours and he grinded, he bust his ass off, but he did it in such a, he had fun while he was doing LeetCode question, and that's why he truly understood it. Okay, cool. Let's move on to a different question here. So did I commit to a single FAANG company or interview at a bunch of places? And that's, so did I commit to a single FAANG company? So the answer is no. I did not. You were doing machine learning? I'm not doing machine learning. I guess I am doing machine learning. I did machine learning. I'm more doing infrastructure and DevOps for machine learning. Okay. Why you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, and this is going to be a key concept. FAANG obviously is like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. You know, look beyond this. Look beyond this. It's cool. So you should not put all of your eggs in one basket. When I was interviewing, I interviewed for a lot of different companies. I didn't just interview at FAANG companies. I interviewed at you know, other companies that were like relatively similar to FAANG level. There's so many different companies out there now that, you know, FAANG is not what it was like 2, 3, 4 years ago. Let's just admit it, right? There's a lot of other really good companies that will pay you more, have more benefits, have more evolving technologies, will make you richer if that's your end goal. To dig into not putting your eggs in one basket, is it even worthwhile sorting question by company? No. I would say no. And that is my personal take, right? Please take that with a grain of salt, because that could sway your entire interviewing process. My personal opinion is no. I would not sort by company at the beginning. At the beginning, okay? Closer to interview, yes. So here's the thing, right? When you're applying, so first of all, I recommend applying to a bunch of different companies. Do a blanket apply to, you know, if it is a FAANG company, sure, you can apply to all of them. Apply to different companies, okay? It is what it is. And we can talk about how to actually apply to different companies in different talk. But in terms of how LeetCode ties into that, when you're preparing for a technical interview, you should not, in your mind, be differentiating a Amazon technical interview versus a Google technical interview. What you should be doing is just focusing on the concept of a technical interview. And the reason for that is because when your brain, it's like a sponge. So when you go online and you do Glassdoor or Levels and all these other resources that tell you what the interview question was, your brain's gonna say, oh, I'm probably gonna get that question, I should focus on these concepts, right? And that's probably more detrimental to you. You should just think of getting a LeetCode question. I think that is already an approach, and it silos you into one style of thinking. I would not really go through the time of, you know, Amazon top 20 questions and then like only drilling those ones, because I doubt you will get that. Or you know, drilling down the 30 most asked Google questions, because it's unlikely that will you get it. Yes, you know, maybe. There's a bunch of different things that can happen today. You can walk in, a lock and hit you in the head. But you should not drive your brain to focus on a set of 30 questions just because they're categorized as what they are. You should train your brain to be able to solve whatever question you get in a LeetCode style fashion. Let's see. I would not focus my brain on some category of questions. Okay, because like I said at the beginning, LeetCode and interviewing and technical interviews involves luck. One day it's not going to be an interview. You can either get a grumpy asshole who's going to give you a hard question, you have no hope of getting it. Another time you could be interviewing and you could get a question that is your weakest strong suit, right? Let's say your weakest strong suit is DFS or whatever, and that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. So with that, I wouldn't focus my brain on a category of questions. So again, to answer this one, did I commit to a single company? No. You should not commit to a single company. But I will say this. As you're preparing for leak code interviews, I would say a week or X days before the technical interview, I would look at the category questions at that company's. Okay, how do I wrote? I would look at I would look at the company category of questions. All right. So before your interview, what I recommend is a couple days before, a week before, depending on how much time and depending on how you work, I would sort all the interview questions by that company to see how well I do. Because here's the thing. It doesn't matter what question they ask you. At that point, you should be feeling comfortable enough where you can solve any question. So it's a good way to just look at a different set of questions. Maybe a question that you solved once and you haven't really got back to it for a couple of days. It's a good way to reanalyze and relook at these questions that you passed before by doing a sort at the end. So let's say, for example, I have 3 interviews lined up. I have one for Facebook, one for Google, and one for Peloton. Okay, and then go week 1, week 2, week 3. I got lucky at scheduling. Well, before my first interview at Facebook, what I would do is a couple of days before, I would go to LeetCode and I'd sort by most asked Facebook questions and I would try those out. Okay, once I do that interview, a week before the Peloton technical interview, I would try and find most asked questions on Peloton via Glassdoor or Level.fyi or whatever other source you can find that has that sort of information. So what resources would I use to prepare for FAANG? All right, so as a complete beginner, and I say this because this is how I was, right? I was a complete beginner. I never took any DS algo classes in university, college. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of self-taught, got a job, moved my way up. As a complete beginner, and I'm not sponsored, no affiliation, nothing. I don't have a link that you guys can use to give me some money. What I would do actually is Algo Expert. I would use Algo Expert. Let me explain why. They explain concepts and solutions with video, and it's good. Okay, again, not sponsored, nothing. I use this. I used Algo Expert. I'm pretty sure Mewtrue used Algo Expert, and I'm pretty sure Trash Dev also used Algo Expert. They do a really good job of explaining stuff. Okay, and I know you guys are thinking, why would I pay money to do something I can learn on Google, on YouTube? And you're absolutely right. You know, let me just say this. If you're doing LeetCode, you can find the explanations, everything on YouTube. First, like, you can. You absolutely can. Okay? But then you have the questions like, how goes the quality, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, Algo Expert is quality. Algo Expert is organized, right? Something that I found with LeetCode, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. Okay? Algo Expert helped. Algo Expert helped ease me in. I only have LeetCode Premium, but I was considering Algo Expert. Yeah, that's also a good source. Dude, yes, it's overwhelming solution are the most. Yes, exactly. I found LeetCode very overwhelming. Okay? I would look at them like, oh, where do I start? Do I do the tutorials? What do I do? I actually really like it. Yes, good, Dr. Rim. It's a great resource. Because when you go on LeetCode and you're like either new or never did before, the first time it's always like, oh shit, like what do I click? Do I just do problems? How do I sort? There's so many questions. Where do I go? With Algo Expert, if you're a beginner, I do recommend it because everything's organized. It's like easy, and then within the easy column, you know, it's nice and green. You have different categories of questions you can solve. And then there's medium ones, and every question has an explanation to it. It has hints. It has, you know, a really decent IDE. It tells you your problem. It has like it's good. It's good. I'm not gonna say too much things about it. I'm not selling the product. Algo Expert, if you're a beginner and you're learning data structures and algorithms and you don't know where to start, Algo Expert is good. So we talked about as a complete beginner, but I will say something. A lot of you guys aren't beginners. As a complete beginner, as someone who has experience. Okay, so as someone who's experienced in learnings, and you know how to solve your basic stuff, binary tree, how to implement different sorts, how to how to do bubble sort. If you know how to do all that, my recommendation and my only recommendation, only use LeetCode. LeetCode Premium. LeetCode/LeetCode Premium. Okay, I'm gonna explain this a little bit. Beyond the scope of learning the data structure algorithms for the first time, nothing's new. Okay, let's pause on that for a second. Nothing is new. Only thing that's new is how the question is worded and what constraints you have in that question. That's how you separate it between an easy, medium, and a hard question. A hard question is obviously going to have a very obscure worded problem. The problem itself is probably challenging. You might have to use multiple algorithms, and there's constraints that prevent you from doing the solution that's the obvious one, and there's the little gotchas. A medium one is obviously that, but a step back. An easy one, straightforward. Here's a problem. What's the solution? Okay, but that's just the nature of the question. The entirety of what tools to use stays the same. A DFS, BFS is not going to change. Hasn't changed for how many years now? It's recognizing the problem, recognize how to use them with what you're given in the problem. That is what's going to define how you solve a question. And that is why, at that point, if you truly know the building blocks, the basics of all the DS's algorithms, just do LeetCode. And one more thing about this, and I never used this, but I watched Midnight Simon use it, and I saw how well he progressed. And my boy Indecision Tree too. Participate in the weekly challenges. For real. Okay. Doing LeetCode every single day, getting new questions, that's healthy, that's good. Okay, whatever, we're good. If you have LeetCode Premium, I'm gonna say it. I don't think you need LeetCode Premium. It does give you some better metrics, but sometimes learning more about metrics kind of fucks with your brain. And think about it this way. LeetCode at the end of the day, especially LeetCode Premium, is a business product. They want you to buy it. Okay? So more often than not, they're going to try to sell you LeetCode Premium, right? Something, and this is going to be, exasperated, but are you having troubles learning LeetCode? Are you struggling with your technical interviews? Is LeetCode maybe not for you? Well, try LeetCode Premium, where we will give you in-depth metrics, where we will give you hand-picked, selected questions from interviews that we know are asked in these days. All that's bullshit, okay? Like I said before, there's always an element of luck. Even if someone's like, hey man, I know the 10 questions they asked their candidates. There's 10 in here. I will, and I know like for a fact maybe tomorrow you'll get one of these 10. You might not. And then what? Participate in the weekly challenges. So like I said, I did not do this. And since this whole stream is like what I would have done differently in my LeetCode preparation, I would participate in the weekly challenges. LeetCode has these challenges that they spin up every week, whatever. Anyone can enter and everyone gets the same questions. It's like four problems that you can read and do, and it starts from the easiest ones. Question 1 is very easy, question 2 is a little bit harder, question 3 is a hard one, question 4 is like an advanced concept, and then it ranks you. So participate in these weekly challenges. They really do build up really good skills. You won't learn how to solve like DS and algos through it. Amazon sponsoring some of the weekly contests now. Oh, awesome. What's up, No Condom Chris? Love the name. Cheers on that. Okay. They push you directly onto us. Yeah, they would. And Google does that too. Like Google, great point, man. Great point. For real. Companies sponsor weekly challenges and will reach out if you do well. So, with the whole interview thing, you gotta get the interview. You gotta like apply, make your application, make your resume, make your CV, all that shit that you gotta do, right? If you just get nasty at LeetCode and you do some of these weekly challenges, they'll come to you. Amazon will be like, yo, you ranked like 190th on our challenge. Like, are you interested in an interview? You have the skills that we're looking for. That's why we did the challenge. Like, And you're like, yeah, that's why I did the challenge, you know? So participate in the weekly challenge. Even if you're just dookie cakes, even if you're really bad at leak code and you're still grasping it, do them. Because they teach you something that you don't know until you do your first technical interview. And that's time constraints. Time constraints in a technical interview change the aspect of solving a problem. When you're comfy at home in your boxers on your gaming chair or your ergo assessed stool, and you're doing leak code, you're comfy. You know, you can look at it, you can eat some Cheetos, lick your fingers, maybe watch a YouTube video, play some lo-fi hip-hop music while you're doing it. You're comfy. There's no one's telling you to do it. You're implementing it yourself, right? But then in a time constrained thing, your brain is ticking. And you have to experience it first. And so doing a weekly challenge will get that out of the way. Typically the way I did it is I had to burn a few interviews learning that. You know, I burned some technical interviews. And that's also a common approach, by the way. It's like applying to companies you don't want to work for, to get experience, to get the jitters out of the way. So that's a valid technique, okay? But if you don't want to do that, I would recommend doing the weekly challenges to get that kind of, you know, to get the oil in the gears, so to speak. Okay, so how would I structure studying with a full-time job and without? Two vastly different things. Two extremely vastly different situations. Full-time jobs and kids, mon dieu. You know, we'll talk without. We'll start with without, because without is pretty easy. Without is fucking easy. If you do not have a job, this is best case scenario. You have all the time. You have all the time you need. Okay. Typically, people fall in this category are students, you know, students, freshmen, younger people. Typically, someone who quit / got fired and have the time. Okay, so if you do not have a full-time job, yes, you know how would I structure my day with leak code? If I do not have a full-time job, this is what I do. I would treat leak code as my full-time job. Okay, and I'll do the full 9. I would have a sticky board. I would have a sticky board ticket system to track. I'll do the whole 9. If I was not working, I would spend, you know, 5 hours, 4 to 8 hours a day doing leak code. I'd wake up, do breakfast, and in the morning hit the leak code. Hey, I'll keep doing that. I'd make notes. What questions am I good at? What questions am I killing? All right. How many hours do you need in leak code to pass interviews? That's a very subjective question, man. Like I said, I did leak code for 12 hours a day for 2 months, and I failed more interviews than I got. So, yeah. So I would track what question I do well on. I would track what questions I'm struggling with, and I would just pool that together. And I treat it as a full-time job. Yeah. So without an interview, to summarize, I would just wake up. I would treat doing leak code as my full-time job. I would prioritize it. I would do everything, right? I would wake up, do breakfast, exercise, sit on my computer, and do leak code, and I would track it. The most important thing is track your progress and track your failures on leak code. So let's talk about the harder one, right? And I saw some people in chat already with this, right? With a full-time job, okay? First of all, way fucking harder. Like, it is. There's no sugarcoating it. If you have a full-time job, it is way harder, okay? This is what I would do. And this, again, this is like a grain of salt piece of advice. If you're working at a company and looking at different jobs, you probably don't care anymore. You probably don't care anymore. All right, completely valid. What's up, Juan? Welcome in, dude. How you doing? You probably don't care anymore. All right, and if you don't care anymore, I would begin half-assing my current job. Facts. What does half-assing mean? Putting less time time on my tasks, asking for less, not asking for more work, not asking for more work, not volunteering, trying to limit my hours. Okay. Yeah, if you're working full-time and you're looking at FAANG and you're starting to leak code, yeah, you probably don't care about your job anymore. You know, you might like the people there, but you're looking for a new job. End of day, you're looking for a new job. You want to get paid more. You want to work for a specific company. You want better benefits. Your company pays you like shit. You hate your manager. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever reason you have for leaving your current job and starting to leak code, it is the biggest signal that you no longer care and no longer want to stay at your current company. Okay? Perfectly valid, perfectly true. You have to start half-assing your current job. And the reason for that is you need more hours to study / spend on LC. Okay? If you're spending 8 hours a day full-time on work, and then you go home, make yourself dinner, do groceries, go to the gym, detox, relax, watch your Netflix show, you know, go to the shower, pick your ears, pick your nose. How many hours are left in the day for you to spend on leak code? And that's after you've already spent 8 hours working and all those other hours doing that stuff. You're probably, if this is your scenario, you're probably exhausted and forcing yourself to do leak code. Let me just save you the struggle. Stop. That's not gonna get you anywhere. That's not gonna get you anywhere. Back to this. You gotta start half-assing your job. You have to start putting less hours into your job, and you have to start putting hours into leak code. Whether that is taking longer times to solve a problem, right? So if you were able to solve problems, you know, if someone asked you to do a feature, right, and you can do it in 3 hours, but no one's gonna raise an eyebrow if you do it in 10, take the fucking 12. All right? If you can do a job in 3 hours, no one cares if you do it in 10 hours. Do it in 12 hours. All right? At the end of the day, though, yeah, I would be putting my structure now. If I didn't have a job, and let's actually answer this, because I gave some just broad statements. Without a full-time job, I would do 4 to 5 days a week, 5 hours a day. 5 hours a day. So what's that? 5 times 5, 25 hours a week. Okay. With a full-time job, and I'm going with my half-ass technique. I'm going with my half-ass approach. I'll do, you know, 3 to 4 days a week. 2 to 3 hours a day. Actually, I'll do 3 to 5 days a week, because you can do the weekends. You have to use weekends then. Have to use weekends. 2 to 3 hours a day. And what's that? 15? Alright, cool. And one more thing, man, from the inside, if you bomb a technical interview question, the person who interviewed you could not give less than a shit. They forget about it before you do. One person who I work with now, I work with this person. He interviewed me. I failed. He interviewed me for a technical. I failed that question. I bombed it. All right? He still recommended me for it. And I work with him every single day now. He's my colleague. We work on the same product together. All right? Bomb interviews, talk about it. Have the confidence in yourself. Yes, I do think it's worth it. I think the money is absolutely ridiculous. I think the benefits are absolutely ridiculous. But more so than not, the engineering principles and the coding structure of your game is going to change. Before I worked at FAANG, I thought I was a good programmer. Buddy. I didn't know what I was talking about. When you work at a high-level company, the level of code you do is high level. All right? Was I ever worried about bad program practices? No, personally, no. Okay, in an interview setting. In an interview, screw all that. The last thing you need to put on your mind when you're interviewing is programming practices. Okay, you're already dealing with the nerves of interviewing for a company. You're already nervous about the question you're given, and you know it's an uncomfortable situation. The last thing you want to do is the proper programming experience. And like I said earlier, one thing I regretted in my prep for FAANG, one thing I wish I could have done differently is I wish I would have focused on the brute force. Crazy statement. I know a lot of people here already do leak code. I know you guys do leak code, you know. What a crazy statement I just said, right? I did the leak code grind and I got hired. I did it. I think I passed it, okay? I passed it. Now with flying colors, right? I didn't get Google. Out of FAANG, I got Apple and technically Amazon. Always start name solution, work way up. Exactly. Does the programming language matter when solving challenges or the real world scenarios? Yeah, dude, I actually have a YouTube video coming out on that, so I'm not gonna speak too much on that. If you guys want to see, I have a YouTube video on the top languages that I recommend, and I explain why one of them is the best for FAANG interviews. So, you know, tune into that one. It is Python. Yeah, it's Python. It's Python. You guys all said it's Python. It's so obvious. And one more thing, just try to solve the question and speak to them. Okay. And if you don't know, today is Sunday. So every Sunday I'm streaming a new segment called Engineering Talks. That's where I talk about things just like this for a catered audience like yourself, the software developers, the people who are trying, the people who are working. It's for you, okay? But really, the point of why I want to do Engineering Talks is actually for previous me, past Melkey. I wish when I was, you know, studying, when I was preparing, what I didn't know, I wish someone would tell me. So, really, I love that you guys are here and watching it, but it is for the past version of myself. And then if anyone could be in that same thing and have this source that I wish I had, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm solving a problem. So how much luck is involved? The answer is enough. Hold on, Discord, there you go, you got it. So yeah, how much luck is involved? Enough luck. Why? Where's the luck involved? What question will you get? Is your interviewer an asshole? What if the day before their wife left them? Right? What if right before your interview their dog peed on their new 3080 GPU? Okay, so yeah, so there's a lot of elements that come into your interview, right? What question will you get? That's the biggest one. What question will you get? Is it your strong suit? Is it not your strong suit? That matters a lot. And you have to face it, you know? You have to face it. One day you're lucky. And chat, finish this for me. One day not. Right? So one day you're lucky, one day you're not. Again, you guys want to know the best you guys want to know what the best luck into quote over here? Everyone stop talking. Shut up. I got you. That's all the quote you need to know. Luck favors the brave. That is all you need. If you have any quotes involving luck, get rid of them. Use this. Luck favors the brave. If you get an impossible question and you just want to leave, what do? Bro, one, don't leave. Okay, let me just answer this straight up. Don't leave. Okay, you don't want to leave. Okay, two, brute force it somehow. Okay, and here's one more. At the end of the day, just ship it. Yeah, at the end of the day, here's one more tip I can give you guys. If you get an impossible question, you have to use this. Is a trick I used. I used this trick. You gotta switch it from a technical how do you spell technical to a behavioral. Since 14. Okay, this is do not do this under any circumstance, but if it comes down to it, you guys switch it from a technical to behavioral. All right, this is like a back pocket trick thing you gotta do. Okay. Okay. So if you're completely stuck and you have no idea how to solve it, you have to start thinking that you're gonna sell them on yourself. All right, that's when you have to start talking like nobody's business. You have to start talking out of your ass. You're like, oh well, I reckon this problem when I was studying, and I'm just blah 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 blah. This is what I would do. Am I getting right? Oh man, like how, you know, you guys start doing the other tricks. I would say ask for hints. Ask for hints on the problem. Right? Ask for hints on the problem. Talk to your interviewer about how you are currently approaching it. But I've been in situations where I've asked for hints. I've talked to my interview about my current approach, and they try to steer in the right direction. I still can get it. If you still can't get it after your interviewer helps, there's nothing else you can do. Like, that's it. Like, you're not gonna solve it. So, all right, let's go to the next question. Okay, do you actually use leak code skills at work? Okay, so this is a really interesting problem, and like when I first read this, my immediate answer was no. But the thing that's transferable, the biggest transferable factor of doing leak code and working is problem solving. Critical thinking. Okay, so like, am I sorting binary trees at work? No. You know, am I I don't even know. Am I solving every problem in a DP specific fashion? No. I'm not. You know, I'm not doing any of that stuff at work, because also a lot of the time, if you have to sort something, you can use python.sort or whatever it is, right? Dynamic programming. That's what DP stands for. Okay. But the thing that's transferable, like, so at work, you can use a lot of tools that in an interview you can't. Example, sorting. In an interview, you can't just use python.sort. Right? At work you can. So but the thing I use at work, the main thing I learned from LeetCode is how to think and solve problems. That's to me is the best way to kind of approach it. How do I motivate? Yeah, so how do people motivate themselves if money is enough? Money is a great motivating factor, but a lot of people aren't solely motivated by money. And I talked about this in a previous stream. Like, you have to be proud of the company you work for. Okay, that's one thing I really liked when I was applying, and why I'm super happy I got Twitch, because I'm proud to work at Twitch, right? Like, I was learning how to code using Twitch. I was a streamer before I worked at Twitch, and so I was very proud to work at Twitch. I'm very proud to work at Twitch, and that's something that's me personally, right? Like, obviously the money, the benefits, amazing, way better than my last company, blew them out of the water. But the fact that I'm also proud of it is a different motivational factor. So if you want to work at Google and that's like your end goal, that's a motivational factor right there. Main reason I rejected Facebook, even though the offer was higher, can't get over the fact that I will have to tell people I work there. Yo, Robot Ninja, ethical reasons are super important. I know people who work at Facebook and they're like they're awesome people, right? Like, I do hate to say this, but like personally, like, I wouldn't work at Facebook either. And let's just say all FAANG companies have their ethical problems. All FAANG companies have ethical problems. Amazon has an ethical problem. Twitch has an ethical problem. That is, you know, they all have their issues. I would definitely say, like, I wouldn't work at Facebook, but I would work at Amazon, right? Like, it's just whatever you align yourself more. So how do you know if you truly understand a LeetCode question? It comes natural. I think that's the best way. It comes natural. You understand what algo is the best for it. You can break it down in smaller parts and solve each one. You don't need to brute force it. Okay. You can explain your solution easy to someone else. You gotta do your thing. No one path, no right path. Just whatever path is do whatever makes you happy. Whatever makes you happy making waffles in the morning, you know? If you're making waffles in the morning and you're upset, like you're on the wrong path. So what questions to start on LeetCode? I would say like literally starting any is better than starting not. Obviously start easy if you have to. Obviously start easy if you have to. What I did personally, I sorted by the top 50 overall. Top 50 overall questions, then sorted by difficulty. That's what I did. All right, so I think we got one more question left. Yeah, how to track your progress on LeetCode. Well, LeetCode does a really good job of that. I'm not gonna answer that. Like LeetCode does that basically. What I would personally do is, this is what I did. I had a notebook of the questions I was solving. Like every LeetCode question has a unique number associated to it. So I would, you know, definitely do that. I'll definitely use it and track what question I'm good at. I'll make a note of what concepts I'm bad at. Like if you're bad at DP, right? Why you're struggling with DP. If you're struggling with, you know, DFS or BFS, I'll definitely suggest doing that and you know, just writing all the questions under that category. So one thing that's good about Algo Expert is Algo Expert has, like, whatever question you're doing, it has what category it belongs to. So when you solve a question, you can know if it's a DP problem or whatever the concept is that you should be utilizing. And that's why I recommended Algo Expert for brand noobs. Cool. All right, so I think that's it. I think that's gonna be the first edition, I would definitely say, of engineering talks on Sundays. Successful. It's dope shit. Okay, so I think with that we're gonna end. If you didn't know, every Sunday I'm gonna do a stream called Engineering Talks, where I basically just talk about concepts that I want to talk about, and hopefully they help people out. If you like this, make sure that you guys send me some love. I will be posting this VOD on the YouTube VOD channel. This will be saved as a VOD, but it's only saved for 14 days, so be mindful of that. And lastly, I'll be posting up all these notes in the Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord, make sure you join right now. Come say hello. Tell me what's up. Tell me what you guys want to do. Tell me what you're interested in and how I can help you out. And I'm gonna make a new channel in the Discord for suggestions of engineering talks. If you guys want to, if you have something you want me to talk about, I'll post it in. Just post it in there, and the ones that get the most votes or whatever, I'll make the next one that. So yeah, every Sunday, I hope you guys see you. If you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter. That's where I post a schedule for my streaming content. We're starting back up with the NFT stuff next week. Shout out to all the people that were here. Shout out to the people who weren't. Check the VOD out. Do whatever you gotta do. And yeah, I hope this helped. I really do. And if you have any advice on what I could do better, DM me. My DMs are always open on the Discord. Always open on Twitter. That's how we do it. Community first. So yeah, you guys are awesome. I'm gonna just raid now. Be safe. Peace out. Melk out.